All right, so you should be able to see my screen share now. I'll walk you through a few things, especially as it relates to the Salon product. What I'll preface that with saying is that we've built the Salon product to be part of what is our already existing suite of offerings and features within the MX POS product. So for those of you that we haven't interacted with or anything like that. We support retail, we support restaurant, and now we're adding salon to those merchant verticals. And I'll kind of step through what our iteration of salon looks like right now. So on this first screen, this is just going to be our login screen. Right here, this is where you're going to give your employees a login. They'll be able to clock in and clock out, as well as that's how we're going to sort of reference and allocate things like permissions. So if I go ahead and jump in, the main thing that we're really differentiating between our retail and restaurant products into the salon market is going to be the scheduler. Um, I think anyone that goes to a salon that's really starting to adopt more modern POS technology is going to see that they really like to rely on these online schedulers, allow your customer to be able to book at their leisure, their needs, without having to call in or anything like that. So we've built a scheduler out with our eTab platform, and that is included with the POS. So there's not an extra integration that we add on to that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to give them an online presence, and I'll step through that here in just a minute. But on the POS end, when we get a reservation, we'll go ahead and be able to kind of open it up and see all of those details. If I step back a couple of steps, though, this really starts with where does the customer see my online presence? How do they book and things of that nature? So if I drag this over, this is something that we're going to include with the POS platform. We're going to give them their online scheduler and their online storefront to be able to make those reservations. You can see here we have our services separated by departments. So you can separate your hair services or your nail services, things like that. And if I wanted to book maybe a men's cut and style right now, I can go ahead and add that service. That's going to pop over into my cart screen. And then I'm going to go ahead and click book now. So at this point, we've kind of chosen to go two different directions, one of which is for our more repeat customers, and the other is going to be to help capture some of those new customers that are coming in and maybe haven't been here before. For our repeat customers, what we're going to be able to do is select a professional. So if I hit the drop down here, it's going to give me a list of the available employees that we can choose from. So right now I have Martin, Leo, Jack. If I'm a regular here and I know that Martin knows how to cut my hair, so I go to Martin, I can go ahead and select Martin. But if I was maybe a new customer and I'm just looking for the time slot that works the best for me, I can go to select ASAP. This will load up a window and sort of give me a current breakdown of what the schedule looks like. So if I'm looking to book and I care about 145 specifically, or maybe even 130 specifically, I can see that Martin's not available at that time. So I'm going to need to book with either Jack or Leo. Let's go ahead and book with Jack. What we're going to do is prompt the user for some information. So what I can do here is just go ahead and put in some information. It'll confirm my booking times. I can pass along any notes as well to the stylist to carry with my appointment reservations. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit save. What we're going to do at this point is sort of soft hold this appointment so that it can't be overbooked. It can't be booked by somebody that's looking at the same time slot faster than you or anything like that. And then when we go to proceed checkout, this is where we're going to sort of confirm all of those details. You'll see that it's confirming the customer, it's confirming the location, as well as any of my service details. What we're doing after that is just giving them an example of their fees and things like that, as well as the date and time. And we have the ability here on the right side to capture a card if we wanted to enforce a cancellation policy. So if I scroll all the way down at the bottom, we have the ability to include a cancellation policy that the business owners can dictate. If they want to allow their customers to book without putting any sort of credit card collateral up, they can absolutely do that. But one of the things that we heard when we were in our beta phase is that, hey, competing salons might want to block this out. That way they can sort of guarantee that they're getting real customers in and things like that. But we'll be able to restrict that, enforce a cancellation policy. We'll be able to additionally provide SMS updates. So currently the default for this is just 24 hours, but we're going to be sending a text message out to the phone number that's listed here from the customer that they have an appointment coming up in 24 hours. If I go ahead and confirm this now, it'll complete that. I would have gotten a confirmation email as well as a confirmation text message if I put that information in there. I can confirm to send this email address to somebody else. So maybe if I'm a parent that's booking for my child, but I'm not going to be the one taking them to that appointment, I can send that to my partner's email or anything like that. Beyond that, we're going to go back to our menu. And at this point, it's just sort of a rinse and repeat. We can do whatever we want in terms of scheduling, and then that's going to make its way over to the POS. So coming back on this end, if I log out and I come back in, I'll be able to see now I have these two appointments here. So I have one that I just booked with Jack, one that I booked with Martin. If I open these up, these will start to make a little bit more sense now. So I've seen the customer workflow. I can see when this reservation was placed. I can see the order number, the customer information, as well as a phone number that they provided. Down here in the bottom left, one of the key details that we've chosen to do with this salon product and this iteration of it is, even though we have the potential to collect that card for the cancellation policy, we're not charging it and we're not placing any sort of pre-authorization charge on that. And the reason we're doing that is to sort of engage in the more typical salon upselling stage when you're closing out the transaction. So if we're closing out the transaction and we maybe want to add some product or something like that after our appointment's been finished, we can go ahead and add that to the cart without having to run two transactions or say, I already paid online and then have to run another transaction in store. We're going to keep it all open under one transaction and allocate that with the reservation that was initially made. I can see here the actual appointment details. So for me right now, that says men's cut and style. That could be really anything you want it to be along with the time frame that you want it to be. So if a men's cut and style takes 45 minutes, but a women's haircut takes an hour to an hour and a half, maybe we also do nails or something like that. I can allocate the correct amount of time as well as associate a price in the name with that. With us having a direct integration to our scheduling platform, what we've also done is enhanced our built-in customer loyalty. So we have the ability to have a built-in customer loyalty page where we can collect the information that's coming down from those reservations and automatically populate that into your database. That's super useful for a couple of different reasons. We can do customer loyalty. You can do just general customer history tracking. And you can also start to do what we're doing on the right hand with this enhancement is associate any sort of notes with that customer. So in a salon style setting, maybe if this person has a consistent haircut, just to provide that extra level of service, we can add a note for that person. And then when it comes time for their reservation, we can go and open this up. And then we can even print this out on the station through our all-in-one stations with the built-in receipt printer so that we can walk it over to the chair and just sort of have that seamless flow and make it feel like we really know this customer. And provide any sort of that extra background that we might need. If I go ahead and open the order now, we'll start to be able to see what I was talking about earlier with this order still being open. You can see the pay button is still green, so we haven't paid out this order yet. nothing's been paid. If I want to engage in any of that sort of typical upselling or anything like that, if I wanted to add a pomade, for example, I can go ahead and now hit pay, and this will all be checked out in one transaction. Now, this screen will sort of prompt us for our cash discount method. And this is something that we're actually pretty proud of. It makes it a lot easier from an owner operator perspective to be able to manage cash discounting. So anyone that's doing cash discounting in our system is only going to have to manage one price from their back office. So their back office, if I click no and I go back real quick, I'll be able to see that I have a men's cut and style for $20 and maybe a pomade for $15.60. The nice thing about that is that I have a back office price that is a different price, and it's being inflated by whatever percentage that I put in. So it gives me that full dual price to be within compliance. So I have a full cash price, I have a full card price, but what we're going to do is only show that card price here on the FOH, the front of house, based on whatever percentage that you've put in. So you can see if I come into here, do I want to receive a 4% discount when paying with cash? If I click yes, we're going to see my total drop down and lock me into whatever associated cash payment methods. On the converse, if I click no, my total will stay the same, and then I'll be able to charge that through a credit card or a debit card so that we can maintain compliance and things like that. So if I go ahead and close out this transaction, the only other thing that I'll sort of showcase here is that we are able to color code these appointments just sort of based on the status of whether or not we've completed them or we haven't completed them. And the last thing I'll touch on before I hand it over to Adam will sort of be our back office. So we are a fully cloud-based POS system. This is our cloud back office that runs in real time. So you'll be able to see from an owner operator perspective, your total orders at a glance, net sales, things like that, just for today. We have our modules sort of broken down into what we view as their different categories. We have a couple of different integrations as well as a lot of built-in reports. If I jump into masters here quickly, this is what we sort of say is our owner operator centric place of use. This is where you're going to be changing your items and your item prices. You're going to be adjusting your employee permissions, adding new employees, changing their pay rates and things like that. One of the things that we've also heard to pair with Salon though is commissions. So in a what we've heard in our beta phase is that a lot of salons operate off of a commission structure. So we have the ability to impose two different commission structures. So when they're making sales on services or products or anything like that, we can put in what we call a flat rate commission, which is just going to be a commission on anything and everything that gets sold when that sale is allocated to that employee. The other thing that we're going to be able to do is do a commission by specific products or specific services. So if I want to potentially say I make maybe 5% on all products, but on haircuts specifically, I make 15%, I can allocate those specifically without having to go into every single item and adjust those on a per item basis and a per employee basis. Then if I get into new/view reservation, this one is pretty useful for us because what we've actually done here is sort of adapted what we're doing with the online scheduler to give a little bit more flexibility to the owner. And the reason for that is as a lot of these salons are sort of coming in and getting more up to date with a lot of the feature set of a modern POS, they might have some of their more typical customers that are making that transition to adopting that technology. So if they have customers that are overly used to maybe sending them a text message or getting a phone call about when they want to book, what they can do is either from the back office or from the front of house on the actual POS, they can come in here and manually make an appointment. We don't have to do an appointment through the online scheduler from the customer perspective. That way we can allow this operation to still take place. And then we can sort of, for any new customer capture or make them aware, hey, instead of having to go through this process of calling us or texting us, you can make this appointment on your own now. So as you're sort of transitioning there, we have this built in for any sort of workflow that needs to happen there. Getting into our integrations, we do have a good handful of pre-built integrations. So online ordering is what you're going to see as already activated for us. Typically in a retail or restaurant establishment, this is just going to be sort of an online presence where people can place an order to pick up in store. For the salon merchants, we're using that as their online scheduler. Then with the accounting integrations, payroll integrations, we have our partners listed. We have gift card processing along with a delivery app integration to things like Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash. For retail establishments, namely smoke shops or liquor stores, we have an age verification scanner that we can integrate to the POS to be able to validate IDs. An SMS integration to send text receipts, and then scan data for our tobacco merchants. Then finally getting into reports. As you can see, we have a lot of pre-built reports, and this is one of the luxuries of sort of being a cloud-based system is we can have a lot of these pre-built reports because it's just really data aggregation for us. All we have to do here is figure out what information is wanted or needed, figure out a way to present that to the user, and then we can list it as a report. A big benefit of being on the cloud-based side because we can iterate and engineer new reports very quickly here. And I think to sum it up, overall, going through the back office, the front of house, and the different merchant verticals, so salon, retail, restaurant, for those of you that haven't that we haven't met with yet, what I would say is a lot of these features are pre-built into the POS. So if you're looking at some of the other competitors in the market, like I mentioned with Salon, we have customer loyalty. With retail, we have things like inventory management. With restaurants, we have the ability to do things like table layout, pay at the table without having to do any sort of extra integrations or add-on services. It's all built into our system. We really try to be a one-stop shop for our merchants. That way, our goal is to really have them only have one touch point. Adam, do you want to talk a little bit farther about our offerings?
Yeah, no, I think you summed it up. That's great, Jacob. Thank you. But I think, team, what I want to leave you guys with is at the end of the day, when comparing the MXPOS solution to our competitors out there, namely Clover, right? Uh, Several key features set this POS apart, right? Making it essentially just a standout choice for many uh, you know cross verticals, right? So as you guys can see, we could do salon, we could do retail, right? We can also do full service restaurants. So a couple things that Jacob did mention in retail, especially because the MXPOS does excel in that, and that is advanced inventory management, right? So we offer real-time stock adjustment or tracking with the ability to enable automated alerts on the POS system, essentially telling the merchant or maybe the end user that a product is out of stock. And then which normally would prompt the merchant to go into the back office and use our comprehensive supplier management module that we have embedded again within this particular POS system. So at the end of the day, think about MX POS as a Clover solution, but more, right? So we've got a lot of embedded feature set and a lot of the functionalities that a Clover system can do, but at a higher level. So, and when you think about MXPOS, Many POS competitors, if you think about it, they charge additional fees for a lot of these features that we named, right? Whereas MX POS includes them at no additional cost. Okay. And so even if merchants maybe are not, new establishments or new businesses are not using these features right now, they can scale their business and the POS will grow with them seamlessly, right? You have a back office system also that includes a ton of reports. I know Clover has maybe 14 or 15 reports, but as you guys can see, we have a plethora of reports. So, and those can actually be exported using various formats, whether it's PDF, Excel, or CSV file, and they can also seamlessly send a copy of said or that particular report directly to a bookkeeper or an accountant that's handling their books. So yeah, lastly, and I think Jacob did mention it, we have a lot of embedded features, close to 600 functionalities and feature set, but we also offer a la carte is what I like to call them, a la carte services or integrations that could essentially enhance that MXPOS experience, right? That he touched on it. Online ordering is part of it. We can also integrate to various delivery applications such as Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash, you name it. We also have, although we do have an embedded or a built-in loyalty program, we also integrate with Factor 4 for establishments that offer gift cards and much more, right? So through the integration tool, the merchant can essentially select which business enhancement tool that they would like to add, right? So, in conclusion, if you guys could see, MXPOS is ultimately a comprehensive and a feature-rich solution, right? Tailored for full-service restaurants, quick service establishments, retail businesses, and salon. So I think with this one POS system, it's ultimately just a one-stop shop for you agents. It'll be easier for you to sell just one solution that's going to touch on various verticals, right? So with our system, you can, again, efficiently manage your inventory, implement flexible pricing strategies, happy hour, periodic pricing, detailed reports, and much more.
Yeah, and one of the things I just want to piggyback off of what Adam said is we have these features built in. So what that means for us in a couple of different ways that we see is one of which we have that flexibility to grow with that merchant, like Adam was saying. We have the ability, maybe if they're not using inventory tracking in our system because they do it somewhere else and they don't want to uproot their processes, they can absolutely do that. But if they want to start to reduce the number of touch points, we can bring that over into our system. Um, and like you'll see with the MX POS Salon products, we have those features still built into the system. So even though we have our sort of focus verticals of retail, restaurant, salon, those features are always available to you across pretty much any of the verticals. So that allows us to accommodate some of the more dynamic merchants. So if you're thinking of maybe the East Coast bodega style, where maybe the front counter I'm doing retail and retail focus, but on the back counter I've got a deli that operates much more like a restaurant. I have the ability to configure those stations independently, let this POS grow with me, and as well as be that flexible use case that I need where, like I said, maybe we have one retail, one restaurant, just sort of depends on how you want to implement it and how we can make ourselves fit into the merchant's needs.
Yeah, I think to reiterate what Jacob and Adam touched on and emphasized is we've really got a product here that fits a lot of different verticals. So you don't necessarily need to find a couple different products to fit depending on, who your merchant is. We've got something that you can feel comfortable walking into all different merchant segments and selling against the products that they're currently utilizing. So we've really got a unique offering here that does a lot of things for the merchant and to Jacob's point can be scaled up as they grow. or we've got something that can be, lightened up for, those hard users for, 5 to 10 features as opposed to all the others we offer. So it really just gives you a lot of flexibility as far as merchants that you're targeting for approach or merchants you're looking to get transitioned over from another product. We've got something here that's super compelling and will give you a lot of flexibility and opportunity to sell into a lot of different types of locations. I know there's a lot of questions here brewing in the chat. Jackie, I'll let you navigate those, and we can open it up to the team so that we can provide any additional clarity necessary on the product.
Perfect. Yes. Let's dive into the chat. We have plenty of questions that came in. The first one is, can you split a cash discount payment, cash and card?
Yes, you can. I would say there's a workflow accommodation that needs to happen here just from a merchant and end user perspective. When you do split transactions like that, just because of the way that the math works out, if you're not splitting items on a whole level basis, we have to do the cash payments first and then the card payments second. In most cases, this is probably easier for a lot of people anyway. So what we're going to be implementing is a prompt there if you are attempting to split that payment and we are using a cash discounting method. We're going to be able to split those accordingly.
Next question, is there a way to add a tip amount?
Yeah, absolutely. So for our restaurant and especially bar style merchants, that's incredibly important. So we can do pre-authorizations for the more bar establishments, and then for a restaurant establishment, depending on what you want, we have a pay at the table option where we can do tip on terminal and you don't need to make any adjustments. Same if you're more in the quick service market, we can put the tip prompt on the actual payment terminal, so there's no interaction there from the employee. And then up to the more standard restaurant style where we're writing and printing a receipt with the tip amount, we can go back and adjust that after the fact.
Awesome. Next question is, can we see reports?
Like visually? Let me go ahead and share my screen. So here's sort of our main landing page. You have the ability to favorite some. We have them categorized into things like sales, payment, employees, if you want to see your top sellers, as well as those customer reports, because like I said, we have that built-in customer database. Things like inventory, profit and loss, we have all of these pre-built. I don't think I'll be able to actually show you one right now just because this is a demo account. But just as an example for the sales that we did today, you can sort of see how that looks. So we have some interactive graphs depending on the sales information. This is a demo account, so I don't have more consistent data, but you can see we're able to show them things like their net sales, tax, just really depends on what information they're looking for and what report we should be in.
Next question is, an interactive front-facing screen for the consumer to add tip, sign on, screen send receipt via text. Also, do you have a pic of the system?
So for that feature specifically, we don't have that. It is something that we're acutely aware of and looking to bring very soon. Our customer displays are already capable of using touch interaction. We're just doing the engineering work on getting that integrated. And then picture of the system will take me just a second, so I can field a couple more questions while I'm looking for that.
The next question is, can we get one-pagers / brochures?
Yes.
Yeah, I can take that. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, Jeannie and Rob have access through their shared space, right? So Pay Compass should have most of what you're looking for at this point. Anything that is not accessible or available, we will fill the gaps and get that trickled out to all of you.
Perfect. The next question is, you're telling me Grubhub, DoorDash, etc. integrations are free with MX POS?
we're not. It's a value added integration, right? And we'll defer pricing conversations to Pay Compass, but any of our value added integrations, as we speak to those, we're looking at online ordering, delivery integration, accounting, gift cards, right? So some of the things that you're accustomed to seeing alternative products provide as value added integrations, but then a lot of the things, as Adam mentioned, are already embedded with the functionality, right? So employee clock in, clock out, inventory management, some of the things that other POSs are requiring third-party integrations for, we have built in, but there is a small segment of integrations that we offer at added cost.
The next question is, what's the hardware?
So we have our own hardware that's an all-in-one POS. I think the probably best way to do that would be through the one pager that can be provided out. I don't have a great picture of that right now.
Adding on to that question is from the same recipient, demos available for agents in the field.
Absolutely. So, yes, make sure you reach out to your dedicated relationship manager, Carly Christensen, and she'll be able to schedule that and facilitate that demo for you and the prospect. Oftentimes, we do have availability Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Central and then 2 p.m. Central. Just reach out to Carly, and again, she'll be able to do that. Then one ask, however, is that you guys provide a prerequisite list of items that a merchant is looking for, right? Or is looking for MX POS to solve. So like the pain points and maybe the current POS system that they're using is going to be helpful so that our demonstrator is able to speak to the MX POS product and make sure that we're answering their questions.
Yeah, any information we can get up front on, why is the merchant looking to transition away from an alternative system, or what are some of the things that are important to them as they start the process of looking for an alternative product? The better we can understand those items, the more we can speak to them and make our time providing a demo or even your sales interaction with the merchant valuable and productive, right? So even in a scenario where we don't get to a demo, you're just in initial conversations with a merchant, you've uncovered or figured out, hey, here are the issues that they're encountering, here's where their frustration lies with their current offering. We can help you answer those questions and formulate context and provide information around them so that you can better equip yourself to have those conversations.
Next question is table layout mapping on the restaurant environment.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a big thing for us. We have the ability to add tables of different shapes and sizes as well as reference objects so that you can sort of gain your orientation. We do have the ability to do that, yes.
The next question is, can we do breweries with no kitchen on dual pricing?
I guess I would probably ask for a little bit more context around that question. For us, the way we sort of view dual pricing is really just the pricing around a specific item at a cash and a card price. So I don't believe we would have any sort of issues because that doesn't place any sort of limitation on whether or not it's a kitchen, retail, restaurant, salon establishment. It's more of a pricing concern.
And depending on the merchant, right? I mean, a lot of times if they're doing cash discount or dual pricing, they oftentimes will list the non-cash price on their merchandise, right? And then offer a discount if someone uses cash as their method of payment.
Mm-hmm.
Next question is the tip amount charged in cash discounting.
Yeah, again, I think this is similar to the previous question. So cash discounting or dual pricing, depending on the verbiage you want to use. We recently went through a really large exercise of making sure we're in compliance for this through all of the major partners like Visa and things like that. So for us, it's more of a differentiator on the item level. The tip amount is going to be the raw tip amount that was given by the customer.
Next question is MX versus Square.
MX POS versus Square. I mean,
Yes.
we talked about it. MX POS just has a ton of features that are already built in, right? Embedded. Square is very limited when it comes to functionalities and ease of use, right? So again, we offer a robust employee management tool, including time clock management and tracking, uh, performance monitoring, and then again, a lot of these features are comprehensive management tools that are very important to business owners. Uh, Loyalty programs, targeted marketing campaign that we can do also via the back office. So at the end of the day, we don't really compare ourselves to Square a lot of times. I think our main competitor would be Toast and Clover because, again, they're two of the most popular items or POS system that agents sell. But I think bringing in MX POS to the market will compete directly with them.
There's the following question. I believe it's kind of similar in what we're touching on right now. It's MX POS versus Heartland POS features.
Yeah, along the same lines, right?
Okay.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Next question is, who builds the menu with modifiers?
We have an extremely hands-on implementation process, right? So it requires direct engagement from the merchant as far as the menu build, back office training, front of house training, right? So we build all that stuff internally. We have conversations with the merchant prior to them taking the product live to make sure that their menu is in line. And that's one of the things I spoke to earlier, which is figuring out what the merchant's pain points are. Oftentimes, when we engage with merchants, one of the things that they have issues with is their interaction with their menu on the POS. And we want to get an understanding of that up front so that we can build the menu the right way for the merchant the first time. And so by doing that in a hands-on way of intaking that menu, our team reviewing it internally, having conversations with the merchant up front prior to even getting started building the menu, it allows us to identify and solve the issues that the merchants experience so that when they do start utilizing the product, they're in a good spot, particularly from a menu perspective, which, to be honest, is the foundational aspect and portion of a POS. If the menu's not built properly, it can lead to all sorts of issues that are created from reporting, printing, so on and so forth, right? So it is an integral part of the implementation process for us to engage with and get direct feedback from the merchant on the things that we're trying to solve to make sure we build the menu the right way.
The last question on the chat is, what terminals are used for pay at the table integrating MX POS?
So right now, that's only the PAX A920 Pro. We are exploring other devices, but right now that would be the only option that we have.
Okay. All right. So those were all the questions in the chat. If any of you have further questions, you're more than welcome to unmute yourself. The floor is yours.
I do have a question, Jack. It's me, Albert. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I hear echo. Anyways, I'm a big Clover fan, and what I like about Clover is, we have access. I added myself as an admin employee, change the menu, modifiers. I do everything for my merchants. Is there any possible way that we can get as agents credentials for this merchants to help them out? Sometimes they're in the restaurant, they're in peak on rush hour, 1 o'clock. It's lunchtime. Albert, I need help. Can you edit or modify this inventory modifier for me? Can you do that? Is there something that you guys offer for as well with MX POS?
As a distribution, Paycompass being a distribution partner of MX POS, I'm going to leave that up to your team, right? Our perspective is as much direct engagement as we can have with the merchant. It alleviates some of the miscommunication that might be created from a support perspective. But that being said, again, as a distribution partner, I'm going to kind of leave that approach and defer to Paycompass on how they want to handle that. Because I know, you guys do want to be hands-on and you do want to get on the front lines with your merchant in order to make sure they're receiving the best service possible, right? And, understanding that, obviously we want to be able to try to provide the tools for you to do that, but that's definitely something worth considering. It's a conversation we can have with Rob and figure out the best approach to it.
If I can add to it real quick, Albert, I think at the end of the day, what we want to do with MXPOS is you as the agent, we want to get you out of the support business, right? We want you to do what you do best, which is sell, right? And be in front of your merchants and provide them the level of expertise that you have within the merchant processing. And then, when it comes to supporting the POS, Pay Compass and us can actually take over and help you out on that.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have a question.
Oh, go for it, Mary.
Sorry. Time frame. So, like Linga, they can be anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. Clover depends. Like, I'm very self-involved also. I build the menu, for my customers and such. It could be, time frame is really how long does it take Clover to arrive to my office, more or less. But what's the implementation time frame? Is there a protocol that you use? Just looking at a time frame from, once we sign the application, what is a really good time frame?
Yeah, our
go live.
SLA around implementation is 5 to 7 days. The caveat being, which I mentioned earlier, is we require direct engagement from the merchant for a couple of reasons. One, we want to make sure that menu is in a good spot and they're getting what they need from that. The second being, we need to be diligent from a training perspective to make sure that the merchant is prepared to use the product when they go live with it. The way we've structured our training, at least in the last 12 months, how it's differed from a previous iteration, we've seen customer retention on the product from a back office and front of house perspective go through the roof, right? So we have hard data that shows us that merchants are more prepared to use the system once they start using it, just based on the way we've structured our training. So like I said, our implementation process in an ideal world runs between 5 and 7 days, but that's wholly dependent, as you can understand, based on merchant availability for certain trainings and appointments that they need to complete prior to taking the product live.
One quick follow-up to that is there, with the engagement with the merchant, does that mean that you guys will do the entire file build, menu build with the merchant before you send out the station to them, or is it after they receive the station you guys log in remotely and work with them through the process?
The latter.
Okay.
The latter.
Thank you.
So that menu is being built as the hardware is in transit. Once the hardware's arrived, we run back office training and then front of house training separately, where we'll get everything out of the box, install it, get the system set up, get everything uploaded on the hardware, and they'll be good to go.
And one last question. I guess we're going to get cost from Pay Compass.
Jackie's nodding her head yes. So yes. Yes.
Thank you.
I thought I was unmuted. Sorry. Yes. One question came in on the chat is, could this be used for lodging, booking reservations on campgrounds, for example, and taking payments?
I would probably say no, just because the reservation module as it stands is really going to be geared towards booking with an employee. And so just because I don't think we fully know the full scope of what that would entail exactly, we can always have another sidebar conversation, but my initial reaction would be potentially not.
Present day, it's a square peg round hole scenario.
Yes.
But based on the question, you can see some of the things we're already thinking about now, having built the reservation module. There are a couple other things that we're going to be able to do and offer with that module. that we just haven't had an opportunity to do yet, right? We've kind of built it specific to salon present day, but as you can already assume, that's something we need to get carried over to restaurants. To your point, hotels, booking, things like that. There are a lot of different things that we're going to be able to branch off and do with that module. And as Jacob mentioned previously, because that is an internal product and a direct integration that we have control over it, we're going to have a lot more flexibility to do the things that we can than in a scenario where we were leveraging a third-party integration to facilitate that service for us, right? So good question. I think you're a little ahead of us on it, but that's not necessarily something that we're going to rule out here as far as implementation for that piece of the puzzle.
Is there any further questions?
All right. Well, Jackie, thank you very much. Pay Compass team, we appreciate you allowing us to spend some time with you and present our product here today. We look forward to engaging with each and every one of you. As questions arise, we're happy to spend time with whoever needs it in order to get you up to speed on what we have to offer, whether that be direct engagement with you or your merchants, and anything we can do to support the POS initiatives that you have going on, we're happy to help.